Hi guys, I'm Miss Bala and I'm so excited to be working with you this summer. So you're going to watch this video, take as many notes as you need, and then there's some practice problems embedded that you can try with me. You'll have your assignment that you'll submit by Sunday, and then we'll get to meet each other on Skype on either Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on what you chose. So let's begin. We're going to start with solving equations, looking at some of the big things in Chapter 1 in Algebra. So when we solve equations with integers, and again, this may be a review, but just want to go over a few steps. First, distribute wherever you can. Then combine like terms if you can. Do the inverse of addition or subtraction, and then the inverse of multiplication or division, and this is all to isolate the variable. So let's copy down example 1. 2 minus 3 times the quantity x minus 2 equals 8. So the first thing we want to do is distribute, because we have an integer outside of the parentheses, which means that it's being multiplied. So always distribute first. You cannot combine this 2 minus 3 because this negative 3 has to be multiplied first. So when we distribute the negative 3, okay, remember the sign in front of the number goes with the number. So this is a negative 3. So let's distribute to x and let's distribute to negative 2. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x, and negative 3 times negative 2 becomes positive 6, equals 8. Now let's combine like terms. I have a 2 here, positive 2, and I have a positive 6 here. These are both integers that can be combined. Well, 2 plus 6 is 8. I still have my negative 3x, and then on the other side I have equals 8. So now my job is to get rid of this 8 here. And because this 8 is positive, I would have to subtract 8 on both sides, and I'm left with negative 3x equals 0. Now to get x by itself, I have to divide by negative 3 on both sides, because right now negative 3 is being multiplied by x. So to cancel that out, I'll divide by negative 3 on both sides. And 0 divided by negative 3, or in any case, 0 divided by anything is 0. So x equals 0. Now I want you to try one, and then we'll go over it. 4 times the quantity negative 6 plus 2x plus 8 equals 0. Pause the video here, try this on your own before we go over it. Okay, now let's see. Hopefully the first thing you did was distribute the 4, and 4 times negative 6 is negative 24, and 4 times 2x is 8x. Then you still have the positive 8 on the outside and equals 0 on the other side. Now you can combine negative 24 and 8. Negative 24 plus 8 is negative 16. Then you have your plus 8x equals 0. Now you want to add 16 to both sides of your equation. When you do that, you're left with 8x on this side equals positive 16. Divide by 8 on both sides, and you should get x equals 2. Now we're going to move on to solving equations with fractions. I know when I say the word fraction, sometimes students go into a panic, but I promise it's going to be okay. 33 minus 1/5 times the quantity 3x plus 1 equals 34. So just like on the last slide, the first thing we want to do is distribute the negative 1/5. Now when you multiply fractions, you just go straight across. So negative 1/5 times 3. This is really 3 over 1. So negative 1 times 3, and then 5 times 1. And then negative 1/5 times 1 is just negative 1/5. So once we distribute that, we get 33, which we just bring down, minus 3/5 x minus 1/5 equals 34. Now, in order to add or subtract fractions, you want to have common denominators. So right now I have over 5 here. I have a denominator of 5 here. So I'm going to make everything with a denominator of 5. So if I multiply 33 over 1 times 5 to have common denominators, and I'll do the same thing for the number 34, I'll multiply that by 5 over 5. I end up with 165 over 5 minus 3/5 x minus 1/5 equals 170 over 5. So remember, I just got this by multiplying top and bottom by 5 so that I could have common denominators of 5. Now I see that I can combine like terms. 165 over 5 minus 1 over 5 gives me 164 over 5. I still have my minus 3/5 x equals 170 over 5. Now I want to get rid of the 164 over 5, so because it's positive, I'm going to subtract it on both sides, and 170 over 5 minus 164 over 5 gives me 6 over 5. Now I have to divide by negative 3/5 on both sides. Divide by negative 3/5 here, divide by negative 3/5 here. Now hopefully you remember, in order to divide fractions, you have to multiply by the reciprocal. So we have 6 over 5. Instead of dividing it by negative 3/5, I'm now going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I flip the second fraction and I make it negative 5 over 3. Now we're going to cross cancel a bit to simplify. So I see that I can divide diagonally by 3. 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 6 twice. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to cross cancel. 5 goes into 5 once, and negative 5 goes into 5 negative 1 time. And now I can just multiply my fractions straight across. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 1 times 1 is 1. And negative 2 over 1 simply just gives me negative 2. Let's try another one, just in case. So I have 1/2 minus 3 times the quantity x plus 1 equals 8. First, I want to distribute the negative 3 to x and to 1. So I get 1/2 minus 3x minus 3 equals 8. Now, just like last time, I want common denominators. So because I have a denominator of 2 here, I'm going to put everything over 2. So if I multiply negative 3 times 2 over 2, and this negative 3 times 2 over 2, and 8 by 2 over 2, to get common denominators, I end up with 1/2 minus 6 over 2x minus 6 over 2 equals 16 over 2. So I have my common denominators. Now I see I have like terms that I can combine. 1/2 minus 6/2 equals negative 5/2. I still have my negative 6 over 2x equals 16 over 2. Now to cancel out this negative 5/2, I'm going to add 5 over 2 to both sides. And I get negative 6/2 equals 21 over 2, because 16 over 2 plus 5 over 2 gives me 21 over 2. Now I have to divide by -6/2 on both sides. But remember, dividing by -6/2 really means I have to multiply by the reciprocal, so I have to multiply 21/2 times -2/6. So I have 21/2 times -2/6. Again, I can cross cancel. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into -2, -1 time. 21 and 6 can both be cross-canceled by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 21 divided by 3 is 7. If I multiply straight across, I get 7 times -1 is -7, and 1 times 2 is 2, so I get -7/2 as my final answer. And I can leave it just like that. Okay, now sometimes we have variables on both sides of the equation. In that case, again, distribute on each side separately where you can, combine like terms on each side, and then you want to bring your variables to one side of the equation. So let's see what that looks like. 9e plus 4 equals -5e plus 14 plus 13e. Well, it looks like on this side I have some terms I can combine. -5e plus 13e can be simplified. So on the left side I have 9e plus 4 still. There's nothing I can do right now. And -5 plus 13 gives me 8e plus 14. So now all my terms are combined, and now what I want to do is get my variables to one side of the equation. I'm going to move the 8e and get it to this side. So in order to move positive 8e and keep things balanced, I'm going to subtract 8e on both sides. Well, 9e minus 8e gives me 1e. Then I have plus 4 left equals 14. Now, just solving a two-step equation, subtract 4 on both sides, and I get 1e, or just e, equals 10. How about you try this one? 2d plus 4 equals 10 plus 5d. Pause the video and try it on your own before we go over it. You should have decided that there's nothing to distribute and there's nothing to combine on either side. Then you could have subtracted the 2d on both sides to get your variables on one side, leaving you with 4 on the left side equals 10 plus 3d. Now you can subtract 10 on both sides, and if you subtract 10 here, that cancels out. 4 minus 10 gives you -6 equals 3d. And if you divide by 3 on both sides, -6 divided by 3 gives you -2. -2 equals d.